Louisiana Senator David Vitter is a Republican, member of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. He joins us live. Senator, thanks for taking a moment.
Sure, Greg.
You got to have 60 votes. You don't have it. So realistically, what can Congress do?
We can keep talking about the issue with the American people because I think we're making gains every day. And I think yesterday's vote was proof of that. So I think we're getting there. I think we will get there eventually because this is a no-brainer in terms of a project, in terms of policy.
Right. You know, the president continues to insist he has, quote, no responsibility for oil prices and thus in turn gasoline prices. But here are the stats. I looked them up this morning from the American Petroleum Institute. Leases on federal lands in the West are down 44%. Permits in new well drilling are down 39% compared to 2007. A 57% drop in monthly deep water permits over the last 3 years. Alaska drilling could produce 27 billion barrels of oil. It's not. So is the president wrong? With a wave of the pen, couldn't he make a difference?
Absolutely. He could make a huge difference, particularly with regard to domestic production right here in the U.S., and that would also make a huge difference in terms of jobs. And of course, Gulf of Mexico, where I live off the coast, is a perfect example. As you mentioned, permitting is still way down since before the BP disaster. I think it's about 40% down compared to before the disaster. That's his administration. Those are his bureaucrats.
Right.
He has to take that responsibility, and federal lands and other policy are other good examples.
Well, Nancy Pelosi, though, says it will not ease prices at the pumps. I want to play a couple of sound bites. She did sort of leave the door a little bit open here. I want you to listen to this, and then after that, Bill Clinton.
This oil was never destined for domestic production. So says the Prime Minister of Canada. That doesn't mean it might not be something that is worthy of some consideration for reasons other than domestic consumption.
The extra cost of running it is infinitesimal compared to the revenues that will be generated over a long period of time. So I think we should embrace it and develop a stakeholder-driven system of high standards for doing the work.
Senator, when Bill Clinton speaks, people do listen. Do you think that there might be a change of heart within the Democratic Party the closer we get to the election?
Again, I think we're seeing that movement in progress. I think yesterday's vote was another positive sign of that. We don't have the 60 votes in the Senate yet, but yes, I think we're getting there day by day.
Why didn't Mark Kirk and John Thune vote?
Irrefutable. I'm sorry?
Why didn't Mark Kirk and John Thune, Republicans, cast a vote?
Well, Mark Kirk is recovering from a bad stroke, so he hasn't been there in weeks. John Thune was not there all day. I honestly don't know what his conflict was, but he was not there all day.
Yeah. Energy Secretary Stephen Chu told the Wall Street Journal, and I'll quote, this was several years ago, 2009, I believe, "We have to figure out how to boost the price of gasoline to the levels in Europe," which at the time was, I don't know, $8 or $9. Do you think the President and Secretary Chu truly want the price to go up?
Yes. I think their energy policy from the beginning has been to get the price of gasoline up so that other alternative fuels can be more competitive. And I think they've had a very, unfortunately, effective policy at pushing that. Now, the President doesn't want to admit that on the eve of a big election. But Secretary Chu has laid it out very clearly, and he hasn't hidden from it, and he said it directly, as you just quoted.
Yeah. The President has also said he has not really been given enough time, his administration, to study the environmental impact. Do you disagree?
Yes. 3.5 years is a long time. I know in Washington it should take 10 or 20, but 3.5 years is a long time. We know the environmental issues, and built into the Senate bill, which I'm a co-sponsor of, is a remedy to all of that because we have established a process to redefine the route within the state of Nebraska, and the governor supports that, and the state legislature support that. So we have built that solution into the bill.
Yeah. Senator David Vitter, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Greg, very much.
Good to see you. Martha.